What is up, guys? Rondax Studios right here, right now, back with another video. And so today we're trying out two new different things. First one being, this is a new mic that I'm talking into, so we're going to see how that goes. Second is a video idea that I kind of had for a while that I wanted to try out. New different sort of approach I'm doing. So this will be me detailing certain scenes from End of Horizon Season 2 that were cut from the original production. Whether that be I didn't feel they were good enough, or they were reshot, or just didn't really make sense in the whole grand scheme. So that's what I'll be doing today. Before we start, though, I do want to say, in the finale of Season 2, I read a comment my buddy Stargard made where he kind of, he gave me all this feedback, and so one of the points that I wanted to bring up real quick before we begin, he had kind of brought up the fact that some of the Titans weren't there for the final battle, and that is because some had returned to a different area, and that a lot of the questions that most people have as you're watching this, you might be having some of your own, will be answered either in this, about Season 2, or in End of Horizon Season 3, hopefully coming this time next year. That is the hope, but we will have to see. Big production, it's going to be 16 episodes long, each episode being like 10 to 15 minutes each. A lot of heavy stuff goes down. I'm very excited to work on it. But yeah, I just want to get that out of the way before we start. So here we go. Alright, so up first, this is Rondax Wanders Horizon. This scene was originally supposed to happen directly after End of Horizon Season 2, Episode 3, after Azeran, or Rondax tells Azeran to run away, and Rondax is left here to kind of pick himself back up and move on. The reason I didn't want to add this in was because I felt that it wasn't really that great, and I wasn't able to return to this location in the correct weather, and some of it just isn't up to kind of the standard that I had set for myself by the end of Season 2. If you look at, and we can kind of get into this later, if you look at some of the, I don't know, if you even look at the first episode of Season 2, and then you look at the very end, the final confrontation between Sarkhan and Rondax of Season 2, there's a big difference because, you know, skills change and evolve and whatnot. So this specific scene wasn't really a fan of. A lot of the active motion is kind of wonky, and the stop motion isn't really the greatest either. So, moving on to Rondax in the river, this scene was reshot to make longer and actually make sense, because in this, he kind of just falls into water and then is moving around. Like, it doesn't show the expanse. It's not as ambient as I wanted it to, or ambient, whatever you will pronounce that as. So I wanted to just make it a little bit more authentic, a bit more professional as well, because this is just kind of him thrashing around in the water. And also the water isn't really that fast moving. It's just kind of a river in the woods. So it doesn't really make sense in that regard. This stuff I do kind of enjoy. I wish that I did mix and match some of the scenes, because this next clip here, that would have been nice to have as just more kind of background as nice music. The violin music is playing in the original Episode 6. So, yeah, I did have fun filming both of these scenes. Like, the first version and then reshooting it, I had fun both times. Second time I was actually on a time crunch, which is why that episode is kind of short. So, yeah, it pretty much functions the exact same. He's in the woods, he's wandering, falls in the river, gets out, kind of pulls himself together, has a moment to reflect, leaves, and eventually falls to his knees, and then finds Jace, which is about to happen here. I will hopefully be returning to this location at some point in the future, because I just really enjoy the scenery, and it fits very well with Horizon. A lot of stuff that happens in later works and like after End of Horizon is very geographical, if that's a word. It's very focused on the locations in the like north, south, east, west, that whole kind of concept where it's like across the planet. Like, it's really a vast, like, it just gets bigger. The scale of everything just grows. So that's the old version of Jace, another reason why I changed it. Incoming, here it is again. The older version wasn't really a fan of, kind of just looks like that one guy's self-mocked Blue Venador. It wasn't really what I wanted for Jace, and it was just kind of odd how the armor was positioned on him, not really practical. Lower legs I still enjoy, but whole thing not really a fan of. This scene was reshot as well, as you can see in episode 7. It was changed and made quite longer. Same location, everything, but with active motion and just a little bit better put together. Because this is all very short for that long of a conversation. The whole conversation they have takes up the whole episode. So just to have this couple seconds in there wouldn't really... It would be a lot of effort, like a lot of unnecessary effort that would have to be put in the editing stage. So moving on, Valor and Daron. So this is actually their escape from the Titan's base instead of being teleported. I was originally going to reshoot this, but then I had revamped the mocks already for Season 3 and didn't realize that I was going to need to reshoot this. I looked back on it and I was like, oh, that's not that good. I'm just gonna kind of half-ass it for episode 5, which I do regret. I would have loved to reshoot this. This was such a fun scene to film, and I do wish that it came out a little bit better. Just some of the stop motion, and it's not really that good, in my opinion. This was filmed in, like, summer of 2020, and just wasn't up to my standards now. But yeah, so Rook, Spies on the Titans. This whole, actually... You can kind of tell the weather-wise and kind of like the way the sun is. Like you can sort of tell, or even if you can't, these next couple scenes were all filmed in the same day. So I remember bringing Valor, Daron, and Kralis out to the yard, and when I was done filming that, I went over to my house and filmed this. And so this is Rook kind of walking around and spying on the Titans and getting ready to warn Azeran of them coming in to attack. But future stuff, can't really spoil. We'll explain Rook a lot more, really dive into his character, and yeah. So, and it's an old version of Revix that was eventually changed, so it doesn't make a lot of sense for consistency's sake. Azeran tells Rhea about Rondax. This was very much going to be in the first... This is going to be the cold open for episode 5. But I was on a sort of time crunch again. I didn't get lines in time enough, or I didn't get enough lines in time, I don't know. But, yeah, and then Rhea was text-to-speech, so that was a problem too, but... And then, yeah, this was when Valor and Daron arrived, which is another comment Stargard made. But I figured, you know, if they just teleport out of the base and then arrive there, it makes sense. Valor's been in there before, and he found Daron, so they just kind of talked about it off camera. That's the best way I can explain it. I definitely should have added an extra scene in there to make a little more sense. So this is Rook arriving originally before he spies on the Titans. And, you know, he's just kind of walking around and wandering, but, like, getting ready to spy on the Titans. That was the original plan, to have him, you know, arrive in Horizon from wherever he came from. Ooh, and then, you know, eventually go find the Titans, spy on them, and then go... warn Azeran of this oncoming threat, and that he is going to have to help them out with fighting them, which he eventually does. So, and then of course, you know, the rest of the season happens, but that is all the cut footage that I took from the original piece of End of Horizon Season 2. I hope you all enjoyed. This was just kind of a fun little neat thing. I might do this in the future if I have this many cutscenes. I don't think I actually cut anything from Season 1, but I have a couple videos that I didn't make a while ago, so I might do this again, where I'll just kind of splice together the footage and just talk over stuff that I don't have the motivation to do anymore, because either it doesn't make sense, or it's just not really relevant, or the hype isn't built up enough, or whatever. But, yeah, let me know what you think of this video and the cut footage that I cut from the original thing. And yeah, that is it for me today, folks. Make sure to like and subscribe if you've already done so. Go follow me on Insta, go join the Discord, all that good stuff. And, yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.